Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to be showing you step by step in acrylic on canvas how to paint this adorable fall y'all pumpkin. So I love autumn, I love fall, I love pumpkins. I like that there's a bit of a fairy tale quality to this. I'm going to turn, I promise you, John even saw me mute it before. How you know it's live? You hear me in repeat. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hello.
He is going to make sure that when I'm teaching a technique or demonstrating a color mix, you can really see what's happening by pointing the correct camera at the correct part of the canvas. I'm going to be breaking this down into small explained steps so that you can follow along at home. The video is going to be broken down into more steps, which will be chapter marks, so you can find your place again really easily. And this, for you guys, if you caught the little bit of a sneak preview either on Facebook or here, helps you use the mini books because the mini books are designed to match the videos. Now they're coming out 7 to 14 days after these videos because we have so many to do and we write them after the live. That way they match. Now on today's project, we're using a 9x12 canvas. And guess what? The intention or wish is on it for you. That you be blessed. Whatever that means in your life, I hope it comes to you in abundance and that you can claim that well-being into your space. We have the color Mars Black, Burnt Sienna, Phthalo Blue, Cad Yellow Medium, Cad Red Medium, Dioxazine Purple, Phthalo Green, and Titanium White. Are you ready to throw up a step for them?
Sure.
Oh, I see Amy is wishing everybody hello. I got the chat going over here. That's why my phone went off so I can see y'all talking. Okay, step one, best step, easiest step. You're going to love this step. Guess what the step is? Paint the whole canvas a dark brown. I'm going to take my big brush. This is my number 30 Simply Simmons. You don't have to have this exact brush. This is just one that I have. I like it. I can recommend it, but you can use any brush you want to paint the whole canvas background. I'm going to load up some Burnt Sienna and some Mars Black on my brush and make a very dark brown. And I'm going to just paint the whole surface. I am sorry about the mix-up over on Facebook today, guys. Sometimes if the clock isn't registering correctly, when I set the event from my computer, it does crazy things to the time. And it will look correct on my end and then not be correct later. So, I know that was a little bit frustrating. It's not something I usually goof, but I did today. It's very rare that I have an early stream. They are generally 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Hmm. And so this is the brushing the surface.
This is the paint the entire surface with a dark brown. Notice it does not have to be pretty. This is just getting paint on. It's going to help us do the techniques later on, especially with acrylic paint, unlike oil paint. Acrylic just really lives to stick to itself. So if you have a canvas that's being fussy or particular, this technique can really help all your subsequent layers of paint stick quite well.
See, I would say this is a very pretty muddled background.
It's a pretty metal background.
So...
Ooh, Irene says, hi, Cinnamon from Christchurch, New Zealand. I have been a fan of you and John for years. I have been a fan of New Zealand for years. So I actually totally mean that.
Before it had all the greatest hobbit holes.
Before the hobbit holes. That's right. Before the hobbits, I was a huge fan. Fan of the art. Fan of the people. I follow a lot of TikTokers from there, and it's just delightful and funny. And I love how y'all take care of each other. It has been very inspiring. All right, now, this is all we've got to do. It's this brown surface. Step one was so easy, right?
But you gotta dry it.
I got to dry it.
Okay.
So while I'm drying it, I want you to think about this. You're going to learn today like an artist. You're going to take a creative leap, which means you're going to listen to yourself. And you're going to make sure you're not doing that negative self-talk, but you're going to trust your gut, your creative gut, right? Not the outside world, but your gut. You're going to be empathetic to where you are right now in your life. If you've got an injury, if you have something that's making it harder to be creative, be kind about that. Accept where you are in your skills in the current part of the art journey. Don't worry about like what you should be or you should have done, but just be like okay with where you are now. Being a beginner is a very special thing. Be present. Don't worry about painting's past or painting's future. Just be here in the fun of this painting and paint with me. So I'm going to draw. You think about that and how that might apply to you. And I'm going to draw this canvas.
So, don't you love it when your spouse sets you up to go talk about a subject that you weren't prepared to talk about? Like, yes, I totally love what she said and was like all on board, but I'm like, how do I follow that up? I mean, she just like, yeah, what she said is what you should do, and I'm all about it. No, guys, I'm just I was just thinking, you know, man, you're hard to follow.
Am I?
Yeah, you're like, go think about this, and I'm like, what? Well,
They need to think about
They
it. You
do.
need to do the work that you do.
but I gotta talk to them. So I'm like,
Well, Caitlin, I just want to let you know that the background was Burnt Sienna and Mars Black. And I want to say hi to Mel, who is saying hello from Northern Ireland, and say we're going to be neighbors soon, or neighbors-ish. We're relocating hopefully in January to Ireland. Actually, I think it's going to be January. Everything's going pretty well. So
yeah, we ready for a step then?
I'm ready for step.
You can tell I'm super unprepared to be like you and I have talked about these concepts of leap and learning and listening to yourself, and I was just sitting here thinking like, man, how do I explain that better than you? I didn't even think about that.
Look, they're good. They've got that. They've got them. They are so capable. You guys are so capable. You can trust yourself. And I know the world makes you feel like you can't, but you can. You have good instincts, and you probably always have, so just believe in them. Now, I'm going to add my pumpkin in chalk, and I'm just doing this so you can understand where it is. You can sketch this in chalk, or you can sketch this in paint, or you could use the traceable right now. If you're using the traceable, just make sure that your surface is dry. I just want to kind of know where my pumpkin is in the surface and how much space it takes up. So really, we're going to make a little squished oval.
Gotcha.
Who doesn't like a little squished oval? And what's great is with pumpkins and squash, doesn't got to be perfect, does it? I think I might bring him over a little more. I'm just seeing how big in scale I want him to be. Now, here's a fun trick. First, I'm going to come to the center. Let's mark that little center space in our minds mentally. And we're going to bow a line over here to the left. And I'm also going to bow a line over here to the right, and I can come down between them. So all the bumps of the pumpkin are then going to be going to the right on this side and the left on the other side. Just kind of an easy way to do this. And once you have it, you'll have it for all your projects, so it will never mess with you again. And since this pumpkin's stem is right here at the top, I'm going to bring in a little half circle. And kind of comes over like this. We don't really have that much work to do. Now, one of the little tricks that I can do is I can kind of round the end of my gourd here at each segment. It's going to be in deep shadow, so it's not an area you have to be particularly perfect about. And if you want to change a line, you just go like that. So either in this step, use the traceable to kind of give yourself an idea of where your pumpkin is, or freehand it with me. Either one of those things is acceptable. It's really important to you as a beginner or new artist to know that tracing, gridding, projection, or not treating, these are all art techniques. They are in no way cheating. They teach them in art school. Master artists created them for a reason, and they are a good place to start. I highly recommend learning how to draw because it's a lot of fun. But until you're ready for that, it's okay to use the traceable on you. You haven't cheated in any way. So we come on to step 3.
Step 3.
Amy's like, Celtic peasant, I don't want to call you peasant anymore. I need to know who you are. It's so fun to watch the chat. Oh, 300s is summer, so we are Sherpa. Ooh, oh, choo, choo, oh, oh. This is like an old movie reference. I'm enjoying my coffee today.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to use my big chunky brush. This is a number 18 Raphael Art brush. It is made with hog bristles and it's quite fluffy. You could use your number 12 Silverstone here really well if you had one of those. Your number 12 Cambridge. Your number 12 round Simply Simmons in a hog if you have one of those. If you don't and you have one that's complementary to this one, that would work as well. You just want something that's going to give you a scuffy result. Okay? It's important to have a brush in your brush bucket that goes scuffy for you. You say scuffy with me? Scuffy. Scuffy. All right, we're going to start making some great colors. We're going to start with a little bit of our burnt sienna over to our phthalo green. All right, let's bring some phthalo green over here. I may have to put out some more burnt sienna. And we're going to start kind of dark, aren't we? Over here. And we're going to go scuffy to about here on the surface. You can hear the little noises going. They're kind of fun. I like the noise of the brush. I sometimes very much like those short videos that are kind of like, just a time lapse. But especially if you get to hear the brush though on some of it, it's really rather lovely.
Yeah.
I'm going to add a little more phthalo green to my burnt sienna. Keep coming up here. You don't really have to protect your stem too much, but if you really are relying on the drawing, you can. Get a little more of that black and brown into that mix that I had from earlier, but it's still green. And we're just allowing it to be rough and loose in. Now this dark color is also present over here in this far corner. So I don't want to not get that, right? I'm going to scuffy over here as well. And you can see that even though browns are transparent, and here's like just a thing about paint. Even though the browns are transparent, when you layer like this, if you know how the paint is going to look, showing the color underneath, you can actually lean into that feature. I'm going to come around the corner, kind of creating a bit of a vignette. My pressure is light, and I'm kind of random in my direction. You can hear how I'm just like scraping it on the surface. That's not too bad. Now, a little brown, a little green together, and a little yellow. I'm going to scuffy back into our dark vignette with this color. It has just a little more yellow in it. Rebecca, I was wondering, are you still live on Facebook too while you're live on YouTube? Rebecca, right now I cannot be because our streamer isn't dual casting like that. The new equipment isn't doing that. When we get settled again and back to our own equipment, we will be doing live again on Facebook at the same time. So we haven't abandoned Facebook.
Nope.
I'm just coming across with this nice lighter value. Scuff it right back into our darker color. Maybe a little bit even on this far side of the pumpkin, right? Now, one of the things that I can do is I can get my white into that mix. Maybe a little more yellow. And very lightly dry brush and scuffy in. So I'm doing very light pressure. Scuffy. Ooh, what if I got a little blue in there? It would give me that gorgeous blue-green color. Look at that. So I took the phthalo blue and I added that in, and that was very nice. My paint is still wet on the canvas, but this is really essentially a dry brushing technique. All right, let's get it to here, especially if you guys are new to this. What you're going to want to do is try to randomize this area. You're creating a diffused lighting effect.
Yeah.
We're going to continue to light this as we go on in the next step. You don't have to dry your canvas now, and we're going to be using the same brush, but it's a good time to rinse it out and dry it off in tap. And sip your coffee.
Is our step divider. And this is really so that you guys can go back and when you're rewatching this, You can use our mini books, which Cinnamon's going to tell you about right now.
I love our mini books. Our mini books are written out instructions that match the video. So in each step, it will tell you the brushes I used in that step, the colors I used in the step, the recipe for the color mix, and the techniques. The books usually come with gorgeous graphics, amazing introduction, some reminders about mental state like the Goldilocks zone. I think we're going to have to add leap into there. It comes with every single step written out to match the video, which is amazing. You get to the end, it tells you how to do a traceable, it tells you how to do a grid, it tells you all the techniques that were used. They're generally about 28 pages. You can just download it and go through it free like it's a PDF.
See,
We are going to be binding them at some point, but
wasn't that much better than we have a PDF if you go into the link in the description down below that matches these steps. See, that's what I was going to say. So
I saw a question earlier about if the Facebook class thing that was coming up in February of 2023 was going to affect me. And I looked at it and I don't think so. I think I'm just going to not select the class button. It will just be a live free video. I don't think any of these features on most of these platforms actually apply to me. I just use them because they're free and they work really well for you guys. We're going to continue on. I'm going to grab a little bit of my cad yellow and get a little cad green and I mean some of the phthalo green mixed from over here. And let's get a smidge, look at that, of the cad red. It's such a crazy little mix. And we're going to come up here and start to glow out this color. Now, if my brush has too much water in it, you're going to see foaming in the paint, which I don't want. Foaming is like a little kind of water bubble effect that comes on, and I don't want that. So you'll see me sometimes come off and...
if you see it happen, let me know because I'll zoom in on it.
Yeah. I could probably force a happening of it, but I don't really want to force a happening.
Well, don't force it, but I mean like I want to see you fix it if you do it.
See me fix it. We're just lightening this space up. Let's come over here and add a little bit of our phthalo blue back into the mix and a little white. Always good.
Kind of like guiltily watching NASCAR, waiting for a crash. It's like, I don't really want you to mess up, but I want to catch it if you do.
I'm going to do something kind of wild. I'm going to get my purple into this a bit. Just a smidge right here. Just a smidge, guys. Just a smidge of the purple. We're just working it in. Sometimes I rinse out. Amy wants to know if we'd like to hear a Halloween joke. And yeah, always, Amy. Amy, absolutely.
Yes.
Missy, it's good to see you. And Missy saying they are beautiful mini books, aren't they? We shared them with a partner, and we're going to be talking about what we could be doing with them besides what we are doing with them. I'm going to take my burnt sienna up here, kind of come in and work a little bit of that brown in. Notice that the brush is wet. You can kind of see the foaming happening here. It's just that the paint is wet and bubbly.
Huh.
And a little bit of the brown and yellow. Drop a little of our cad red in there. Coming, and I'm notice that I'm breaking this up. I like to sometimes think of it as dancing around. We're dancing around. Get a little green in there. The reason I mix back into previous colors is the unification of that pulls the painting together.
All right, so I'm going to set you up for Amy's joke here.
Okay, set me up for Amy's joke. I love an Amy joke.
Where do ghosts go on vacation?
Where do ghosts go on vacation, John?
Malibu.
What? Let's continue to paint brown down here. Malibu. Just coming along the edge. And I can work that dark color back in. So even if I feel like I'm losing any of my Deep value. Look how I can work that back in with no difficulty. I can even come in and get a little of my Docs purple into that mix, and you can see when I come into the dark area over here, it deepens it even more. But not with black. It's not deadening it. I'm going to go right back into my green mix, and I'm going to get a little white into it, and maybe a little more white into it. And I haven't rinsed my brush out. So when I don't rinse my brush out, the paint starts to gray a bit, but I'm controlling how it grays, so it's not getting lifeless. It's just desaturating, creating the many, many fun little values that we're going to want in our background. Coming here. Notice that I'm working this brush from the mid belly to the toe. And my pressure, if John's capturing, is so light on the surface. I'm also trying to avoid making patterns. You know, you want to break up your patterns. You know, break them up. Break them up. And what that basically means,
Is that going to be on your mixtape?
It's going to be my mixtape.
On the Art Sherpa mixtape.
break up them art patterns. What it is that is a species, we have a tendency to want to make patterns and repeat patterns. And as new artists, that's a thing we've got to avoid in our canvas so that we don't create something that really overtly draws the eye and feels intrinsically unnatural. And come here and get my yellow, and let's get a little of my cad red into it, but a smidge of the green. Maybe a little more of the red into it. What I'm trying to do is prevent an overtly bright color yet. We're going to get one, but we want it later. Notice how I'm creating that irregular kind of light pattern, and this is really light coming through the background. This is how we're going to get that incredible glow effect. Come there and add a little bit. Rinse that out some. It's looking pretty good. Now, come and get a little white and a little blue. That's wowsy, right? Maybe a little green into it. Just popping. I'm on the toe of the brush. These are little pops of light as well. Make sure that's mixed through my brush super well. Get brown onto it. Notice that that kind of keeps it in that turquoise, but it desaturates it. So I'm blending in around those little pops of blue. They're like a little spark of color, rinsing out. Why do ghouls and demons hang out a lot? I don't know. Why do ghouls and demons hang out a lot? Because demons are ghouls' best friend. Okay, I do want to dry it because the next colors I want to kind of sit on the top. And I work them in, but I want them to sit on, so I'm going to dry it. All right. And we'll come back, and it'll be a new step.
Okay. That's a... So, well, man, I'm going to say, hey guys, it's good to see everybody out there. I just looked over and we had a great big room full of people. Thank you guys for joining us. We really do appreciate everyone being here. It's super blessed for us to be able to share this time with all you folks who come and visit us and help make this super awesome place to be. Because there would be no fun in heckling my wife alone.
None?
None.
I thought it was super fun. Can you help microwave my coffee?
Oh,
We'll take out the stream.
I guess a little.
All right, let's take a deep breath and release it. Let's relax our shoulders, our necks, and our back. Pay attention to your body for a second. Let that breath out. So wherever you are in this painting, I want you to know that it's okay. It's not the time to panic because it's art and there's never any need to panic in art. It's just a painting and it's going to work out in the end. Thank you, Celtic Peasant. Thank you so much, Cinnamon and John, for all the mods. Yes, big love to all the mods because they come in and volunteer for these shows. Let's do another deep breath. Just try to put it down in every breath. Try to put down whatever your worry is, anything that you're carrying with you, any concern that you have. Let's bring it in. Now, it's very important that when you're painting, you pay attention to the position of your body. Because we do this for long periods of time, you can get yourself into a weird position and not really notice it or feel it because you're in the zone, you know, that painting zone. And so I like to every once in a while in these classes remind you guys that we got to, you know, keep our shoulders back and make sure our neck is relaxed and that we're not twisting ourselves into a little art pretzel. Dana Darling says, in my opinion, I love that. It was all caps. In my opinion, this loose style of painting is what the Art Sherpa does best. I love it. Thank you. I love it too. I agree. It's my favorite. Just my favorite. All right, now I'm going to come through here and I'm going to do something unexpected, you guys. I'm going to grab a little bit of my Cad Red and my Doc's Purple. Such unexpected colors to go together, but they do a really good job. And I'm going to begin to add a bit of this deep mist, this deep kind of fall color to the back here. And because it's dark in value with the Doc's Purple, it's showing, but it's not popping off the canvas yet. It is, however, going to anchor the color we are going to want to pop off the canvas. And I'm very light with my brush. I'm letting a lot of the green show through. As I go forward, I can mix a little more of the Cad Red into it. And you'll see that it registers as quite bright, brighter than you'd expect.
Yeah.
The more you put in. I'm just tapping a little in there. Go behind the pumpkin a bit. So when I come over on the other side and add some of this dark value, I can. Up at the top, working just the toe of the brush. Now wiggle it. Wiggle it. Jennifer Sweeney says, how does the patron group works? Did I spell it wrong? I'm so happy I joined. Well, goodness, I will, the patron group on Facebook, if you're a patron on YouTube or on our website, you just let us know and you answer the questions and then you join. It's the Light Keepers. It's the Light Keepers, and it has a picture of me painting at one of the art retreats with a bunch of our people. That's why I rather like it quite a bit. I'm going to bring some of this color down here. Now I'm going to come into my brown. I'm going to just start to put in my ground. It's time to give yourself some ground. You got to ground yourself. I'm going to come on this side. I'm just burnt sienna right now. We're going to change it up a bit, but we just want to give it something to work into, right? I've got a little of my Diox Purple and my Cad Red together. They're kind of surprisingly awesome. And I'm going to come here and curve these brushstroke around, starting to talk a little bit about the light that might be going on here. I can go deeper into the purple as I come back into the shadow. Doc's purple makes a very good chromatic alternative to a black. Because it's so pigmented, it vibrates on the surface and it lets you really deepen things, but you don't get the matte effect of Mars Black. It stays very chromatic. Come here and just kind of arc this forward. There's an arc to this light here. Now I'm going to add a little yellow to this mix. That is the Diox purple and the Cad red mix. Wow, I know. That was unexpected, wasn't it? You're like, but I thought that purple and yellow were contrasting colors. And they are. That's why this works so well. They're complementing colors. They complement each other. So you can see we're lightening this area, starting to imply that there's light. Get back into the red and the Diox purple. Just kind of talk about some shadow under here. Right into the purple. And because the paint is wet and I'm wiggling the brush, you can kind of see it creates a soft shadow.
So would this layer be defined as warm and cool? Would these layers be fine?
I would say that this whole painting is quite warm. We have actually very little cool color in this work. Get a little more yellow into it. I'm going to kind of tap the brush up and down. Creating that light. See how we're just getting a little bit of light from the pumpkin. I might go a little more yellow there. Work that in. Just let it go back and forth. See, I'm softening it everywhere. How's that look, guys? Isn't that just lovely coming in?
Really is.
All right. So we got a lot of work done here. Melinda Carell says, this looks like the old patina background you did a few years ago. It does look like that, doesn't it? And what can you use instead of a hog brush, says George Wallace. So dry brushing can be done with any stiff brush. I love the hogs, but an extra firm filament like in the Catalyst Princeton brushes, like if you're not using hog, perhaps because, you know, for conscious reasons like veganism, there are brushes that fit that, and they do make some good stiff synthetic filaments that are fairly comparable, I think, to the hog. I really love the hog, and this is a byproduct of an already existing industry, and is kind of like using the whole animal. So I do think there's some good that comes out of it, but I totally get if it's not a good choice for someone, or you just don't have access to the brush right now.
Huh.
Either one is completely reasonable.
Is this a step?
It's a step.
Whew. Oh, so what do ghost pandas eat?
I don't know, but now I really want to see a ghost panda so much with my whole mind.
Bamboo. Thank you, Amy.
I'm fine. Here, I'll demonstrate a brush that has a very good stiff filament. These are the Simply Simmons long handles. They come in short handles, and you're looking for the extra firm filament. I've got a number 8 bright here and a number 6 filbert. Either one of these would work. I'll just go ahead and start with the number 8 bright. And I'm going to begin to paint in my pumpkin. So let's start with a good amount of orange. And then we're going to add a little burnt sienna to it. And I'm going to begin to just kind of paint in the segments. Just rough those in. And take them in past the stem. And it's just a little bit of orange and burnt sienna. Just a place to start. Notice that kind of curve the brush at the bottom. That's just because I'm implying the shape of our little gourd friend.
I pushed the wrong button.
You pushed the wrong button.
You know what?
You've got to do a better job. Ireland thinks we're professionals.
Shh. Don't let it get out. So, Melanie gave me a gorgeous joke.
You want a gorgeous joke?
Get it, gourd?
A gorgeous joke.
Why was the jack-o'-lantern afraid?
Why was the jack-o'-lantern afraid?
Because it had no guts.
I gotta say, in a world where, man, brutality is just a thing, I love a little bit of a dad joke. I love a little bit of a dad joke. Just gives me a little break from it. I was watching Vesper, and John had to. I'm not going to spoil it if you're going to rent it. And I thought it was everything that it won the awards for. I thought it deserved to win the awards for. But John was like, I can't be in here. It's too much.
This is just.
It was just too stressful for him. And I got to thinking about it. I'm like, man, movies are getting more and more stressful these days.
Well, I actually, this was interesting because I hadn't had this reflection. Because there are some people who just don't enjoy going to like horror movies or thrillers.
No, that's true.
Because I don't know that I would
let you guys catch up with me here.
Enjoy sitting in the dark for an hour and a half being terrified. It's like, well, that doesn't sound greatly fun. Some people it does. So,
Summer asks if a Deerfoot stippler would work for the background. I feel like that's a brush you could do a good scumble. So I'm going to say yes if you're confident with the brush. And then Anne's like, I have some Raphael Textura. That seems sturdy. Would those work? Yeah, that's a very sturdy brush. And they will do a dry brush all day for you. Sorry. Just keep going. I'm going to get back into my purple red color. Purple and red. I have to agree with you. It's just... you have a Vasel Vega response.
I do. I'm
going to brush this curved along the bottom. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you explaining that because people might not have heard of that, but I realized I'm painting it and I got to teach it.
Because it's more important to me explain that.
I'm brushing this in. This is the shadow, and I'm also going to use this to kind of talk about the division. See how I'm stroking that up between those gourds. That's the Cad Red and the Da Ox Purple. We're also going to get some green involved, but right now we're just here. I'm just curving it up. Come back with a little bit of purple if I over curve, which I did. There we go. That's looking pretty good. It's shaping up, isn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit here. Go into my orange. I just lightened it up a bit just so it's a little bit dark, but I'm lightening it up towards the front where more of the light is on our gourd. Come back here and we're going to just brush. See how I'm kind of loosely brushing this?
Yep.
Up there. And then we're going to take a little bit of our black, brown, and green. I'm painting the beginning of this stem. So it's upward stroke, and a little bit over, and I just kind of use the square of the brush to get it. If I need to come back and fill anything in, I just added a little. It's okay that I got a little green there, I don't mind. Coming back with a little green kind of into the ripples. All right, let's call that a step. That's just getting your gourd in, getting the basic gourd in.
Sometimes I've seen you where you'll take and intentionally spread your color of paint around the surface, just like a little bit here, a little bit there.
That's right, I do. I like to balance out them surprise colors so there's a harmony in the piece. It's really fun. All right, now deep breath. Relax, because this is our nice Thursday pumpkin painting and we're okay. Sometimes I remind myself I suffer with a little bit of anxiety, and sometimes I just take a minute to say right now, in this moment, I am okay. It's a weird thing that you've got to remind yourself with, but it feels like the alarms are going off constantly. It's the wailing sirens. And you just want to go, I'm okay. Okay, now we're going to put some color and pizzazz on our pumpkin. Doesn't that sound fun?
Totally does.
I'm going to take my cad yellow and a little smidge of my cad red, and I'm going to mix a fairly bright orange. And I'm still using that same bright. I haven't switched to the hog brush because you can do a great painting with a bright. And I'm going to come on this outer edge with this brighter color. It's not my brightest color, but it's pretty bright.
I think the color would be preferred to be called chromatically challenged. If the world had a sense of humor right now at all, I would tell a joke. No commentary larger than
I would just tell a joke right now, but I am not going to, because the world does not have a sense of humor, as I have witnessed on Twitter.
No, we're only talking about paint here.
I'm highlighting the upper edges of the ribs to start creating a shape.
I mean, my job is to sit here quietly and
try
to not
interrupt me.
Try not to interrupt you with jokes. But
you are so terrible at that job. I'm adding a little more red. Maybe I'll get a little of that purple in there, kind of knock it back a bit. It's still pretty bright, but I'll go back brighter. Again, this isn't our brightest color on our pumpkin. We're really just going to enjoy painting our pumpkin. I just went back into kind of my purple, and you can see it's still brighter, but it's muted a bit. All right, so what we have done now is we've added a little highlight, and that starts to create some shape or understanding in the shape of our object. We're using value to create form. How fun is that for us? Super fun. What do you call a chunky pumpkin? Oh my goodness. The jokes are just really going. A plumpkin is the answer. And then you can answer this one for me when it comes up. What did the squash say to the pumpkin seed?
We'll see.
Najeba. Jiba? Is that Najiba? If I just give me phonetic if I say it wrong, it is never on purpose. Najiba asks, is this a dry brush painting? And I say yes. It is a very dry brush painting. This isn't a wet into wet painting. This is really about texture and soft blending and dry brushing.
Is this a step or are we still going?
We're still going.
Okay.
We're going to get a little more red and yellow over here to a bright or orange. See, that's a nice brighter orange. And you can see I'm going to just put little marks down. I'm making little squarish shaped brush strokes. See that? If I have too much red on there, which I feel like I do, I can come back and add a little bit of yellow to it. And then just come here and adding that orange into it. Now, if I take that orange to my purple, I can begin to create some really interesting shading here. You'll see me start to work, and I'm just going to enjoy that process. So I'm creating darkness on the inside of the ribble. I've taken my orange over to my purple. It's just the best. If you didn't know, it's the best.
Seems to be.
And I'm trying to hold my highlight on the left side of the ribble. I can even kind of work into my Doc's purple here and blend into that dark, dark shadow. See how we're doing? And shade that up. It just, man, it gets romantic quick. Now, as I come over to the far side, like the cartoon, I'm going to shade kind of this side a little bit. That's where that shadow is going to cast. And darken this a bit. And let's call this a step because that was a lot to do and we've got a lot to do next. And so we're going to need to sort of have our wits about us for the next part. But isn't this painting in beautifully? Painting pumpkins. Yeah, we can do fast paintings. I've got a one hoop pumpkin. If you're like, I love this, but it's a little bit. I've got a one hoop pumpkin. It's done with Liquitex Basic paint and it's super, super beginner friendly. It's in my playlist. I bet one of the mods will find it and drop it in the chat here, but it's really fantastic. I've done about 100 and bazillion. Totally technical number.
Ton of them.
A few of these Halloween projects have happened. Now I'm going to come over here and get my green to my... Did you put my step up? I thought I saw you do it. My green and my burnt sienna together again, and we're going to add quite a lot of yellow and then up to the orange. See how we did here? So it's like we're putting a little bit of the green, but it's muted into the pumpkin. And I'm bringing it along this far right side. Focusing it along the right side over here. A couple places right there on that ribble, not so much in the front. Maybe I'm going to just actually this time put just a smidge. Adding a lot more yellow to the mix. I have not rinsed my brush out. I try to tell you guys those things because sometimes there's subtle things that artists do when they've been painting for a while that you as a beginner following along might not notice. Like, did I wash out my brush? I didn't. My paint is all still on there. You can kind of see it's all in the belly. This is a thing that artists do that have been painting for a while. It's kind of almost like I don't want to say it's thoughtless per se, but it's just something we do without thinking. And so it's very important that I go let you guys know when something like that is happening. Just adding a little bit of that there. Get a little of my red on it to blend it in or desaturate it. Rinse my brush out. It's looking pretty good. Pretty good. Again, just a little bit of the red and some cad yellow. Kind of right up to the stem here, guys. Right into that green. And I'm dry brushing. See how I'm dry brushing that down? Weaving those textures into each other like a tapestry. This one is still wet, so it's blending in fairly well. I can come down here into my brown and green. Just make sure that the shadow, even though it's kind of biased into the brown green, because the back of this pumpkin, if you'll notice, is in the dark, down into that purple almost. Not rinsing my brush. That's a trick, not rinsing my brush.
It was an aesthetic choice to put it in the dark.
It was an aesthetic. Well, it's a fairy tale pumpkin. What I wanted for this year's Sherpaween was to have really a fairy tale feel to everything.
I was making a joke about how they filmed the dragon scenes in the dark, and everyone was like,
"Oh, you mean
anything.
on like Game of Thrones, the new one?"
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot of people aren't watching it because it's just. I think people are just like, they're violenced out.
Yeah. I was only thinking it was funny
Yeah.
based on the cinematography of it all. But
No, I felt like that about the Green Knight. I watched a whole, like when they first released the Green Knight, it was too dark. And it's like the one bad review I couldn't see it. I was like, I don't know, it was a movie in the dark. It was a podcast is what it was. Just pulling more purple into there just to shade this. See how that it's pulling it into the dark back here. I can kind of even brush them together. Just letting that pumpkin kind of vanish into the shadow. It's vanishing into the shadow. I cracked and got Cad Orange. Yes. If you have Cad Orange, this is a terrific painting to bring it out on. I do want to dry this before I do the next layer. So we can call that a step if we want to.
Sure.
We have enough steps.
Yeah.
I love it. We're not actually that far from done, guys. It's surprising.
Oops, okay. So we'll go ahead and put the next step up. And thoroughly dry, making sure that, your next layer, you don't pick up any of the previous layer. That's why she does this, is so that each layer can build upon each other instead of blending. Drying is the anti-blender.
Drying is the anti-blender. Sometimes in acrylic painting, it's just about knowing when your paint needs to be dry and when your paint needs to be wet. I'm going to take a little bit of that orange and I'm going to lighten it with some yellow. And I'm going to get a smidge of white involved. Oof. And I'm going to pull back. See, I'm just creating a rough edge there, highlighting that pumpkin. Just creating that highlight. And I might take this over to that green mix and kind of add a little highlight up here. There we go. That's looking pretty good. I like it. I like it. But we need some pops of orange. So I'm going to bring my Cad Red over to my yellow and make a very bright orange. A little more bias to the red. And you can see I'm just putting it out in kind of rough little patches of color, loose patches of color. Isn't that a beautiful way of doing this?
Really is. I like it. It's called Painterly.
It is called Painterly. We are being so painterly. We're the most painterly that ever painterlied. A little bit of a rough, dry brush as we come back into the shadow. This is like a little bit of light caught it, right? So that's how we're keeping it in the pumpkin. We are keeping it in the pumpkin for sure.
You know,
I took that orange into my
this is
green
exactly how dogs paint. Rough.
This is how dogs paint. Helen says the background is very cool and she loves the colors. And you know what? I love having you guys here painting this with me. Now, here's what it is for you as a beginner. You may question your every mark. And that's the part where you have to listen to yourself, but not listen to the negative self-talk and have a lot of empathy. It's not about none of these are perfect marks. They come together and they create a beautiful painting and symphony in concert, but it's not because they're perfect. I'm taking a little bit of my...
They're perfect together.
They're perfect together. I'm taking a little bit of my yellow over to my phthalo green and burnt sienna mix, and I added a little more burnt sienna, and I'm coming in and start trying to talk about this little twisted stem. And I'm not going to even change brushes, I think. I'm going to just... I may shadow it back up after I get this in some more. I just want to make sure that I have that there. I'm going to take this green. Make a few little fun marks on my pumpkin. And then I'm going to go over to my phthalo blue. Maybe even a smidge of white. Lighter than that. There it is, just light. There it is. Isn't that gorgeous? That pop of color there. A little more yellow into it.
You could say oomph.
Oomph.
There it is.
Oomph. There it is. Just loose little pops of color. All right. How are you guys doing? Take a deep breath. Pay attention to your body posture, how you're feeling. Lulabelle's like, we are Sherpa! We are Sherpa. It's really fun when we're Sherpa. If you're new here, yeah, we're as crazy as we sound. We'll call it a step and I'll finish up the stem with this step. Step 10. So I'm going to take my burnt sienna and my Mars black together, and I'll go ahead and get a little bit of my phthalo green in here. And I'm going to just come up the underside of my stem with a shadow. I'm using a number 4 Simply Simmons round. I'm just going right over that. Making a little twist. I want to kind of twist a little bit my stem. So just getting those little lines of twist in. I'm going to come back over to my burnt sienna, my phthalo green, and my cad yellow mix. I'm going to add just a little bit of highlight. And then a little bit of white. So I took some cad yellow and a little bit of white. Just kind of twisting that up. Getting a little bit of thought into there, a little bit of highlight on that. Now, it's going to need to dry for a second. And while it's having a dry, what we can do is we can come back, if you remember, to our original round brush. You could keep using this round for this next part if you needed to. In fact, we'll go ahead and put in our Mars black burnt sienna phthalo green stem right here. I'm making a very fine line that's rough. Coming over here. It's just like little broken little leaves. I'm going to apply just a few of these in here. Apply means that I don't draw the entire stick from the ground to the sky. I create little angular shapes that imply that there is growth here. Less is more in this area. It's just implied. You don't want to have too much of it going on. Now I'm going to get into my yellow and my cad red, where it's really rather quite bright orange. Maybe even a little more to the cad red. And I'm just going to come up here. Oh, look, that's perfect. Above that stem. Goes back here, just a little bit of that pop of color. Maybe a little bit up here. Just a touch. These are small elements. Cad red, cad yellow. This is sort of like on the ground, like leaves have fallen. Let's go a little more into the cad red. I'm kind of working this far down corner. I'm just looking for spots on my canvas where I can get clear color. I've added a lot more cad yellow into this. And I'm getting kind of a bright tangerine orange. And I'm dry brushing that out over this. A little more yellow orange there. So we're creating little values to even those little petals or elements that could be on the twig. And if I need more cad red, I just go right into it, see? Mix into my little red here. And we do that for its saturation. All right, this is all having a bit of a dry. For the next part, I do want it all dry, so let's dry it with a hair dryer, and we'll call the next step another step. And I'm gonna get my hair dryer.
There it goes. All right, just want to make sure it was going to work. Okay, so we're getting on that downhill side of the painting, so to speak. Just the last little floofy bits to bring in the details. She's getting close. So we'll put the step up. Thank you guys for hanging out while we're doing this. This is cool. Just thanking everybody. I like it all when everybody's here.
I like when they're thanked. They deserve the thank yous. I'm going to put out a little more cad yellow. I put out too much cad red. I thought I was going to use so much cad red. It's really cad yellow and burnt sienna I needed more of. Now, you could continue on with the round brush we used earlier, but I'm going to get a smaller hog round. I think I'm going to get this one. I'll do this one. So this is a number 4 Raphael Artini round. You could use any small brush that gave you good control, that you felt like you were getting what you needed out of it. I'm going to add a little more yellow to my green, burnt sienna, my phthalo green, my burnt sienna, cad yellow, and white. I want to lighten it up another value. Come up here and very roughly put this here at the arc of the stem. See how that just lights it a bit? I'm going to add a bit of these colors here and there, just so that it's not only on that far off thing. Now we've really got to brighten this up here in the center, because we got to create that sense of light. So I'm going to take my cad yellow over to my already fairly bright orange mix. And I'm doing the same techniques I was doing with the big brush. I'm just making little elements. I'm going to get my titanium white into that light yellow. Very softly start to create some brightness of light in here. I'm not painting out all my orange. That's important. Grab some just yellow. I'm going to tap some light through here. Back into the mix with the white in it. That's the orange mix with white. We're going to rinse that out. We're going to grab a little bit of white. We'll get just a smidge of yellow in it. You see that right there, that bright light?
Yeah.
A little spark of it. We're going to put some right there. This is how you get your glow. And then that sparkle goes down the branches again. I'm going to get a little of my turquoise in there and then really into my white. And create some light in that turquoise. Couple little kisses on the stem. Nothing too much, just a little thought there. Needs a little thought. I'm going to go ahead and tap out a little bit of light on the ground here too. Because we really want to have it feel like light's hitting the ground on the other side of that pumpkin. I really want it to be there. I'm going to go ahead and get my orange involved a little bit. But I've got the white and yellow in my brush, and I'm kind of lighten that highlight. Just some. Just so. Now, powerfully, I'm going to take a little bit of my cad red. And I'm going to hit some of my orange flowers that are down low with a pop of the just cad red. See that? Bright cat orange maybe here and there. The chroma now is making this happen for us. Back into a little cat red. Little cat red back into the shadow. Pretty great. Let's take a little look at our cutie patootie.
Looking pretty fantastic.
So good. I'm going to grab a little of my green highlight here, and I'm going to just make sure that little shadow, that this part of the pumpkin has nice shaping, you know, hasn't gotten away from me at all. You can also take this time to take your Diox purple right under your little pumpkin here. Now, what's happening, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, because this is a brush that carries a little extra water, there's a little extra water in my load with the purple. And where there's a little extra water, it thins and it creates kind of a glaze. Can you guys see the glaze?
Yeah, I think so.
So that's just that the paint is thinned and it's creating a glaze. And that's going to let me kind of glaze the area up from the bottom up into that pumpkin. It's just my friend. It's just my friend. Shadows and highlights are super helpful. So in acrylic painting, and it'll be different than watercolor oils because you do not your deepest color, but your second to deepest color, and you do your second to lightest highlight, and you kind of start to create form. And then you start moving up and down your scale, your gray scale or your value scale in your colors, continuing to lighten and deepen the colors of your painting. And it's just kind of a little dance. I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow and white again. And let's put a little highlight on the pumpkin. So we wouldn't paint this highlight right away, right? We would do that later in the painting. We'll do that now. In watercolor, you go from your lightest values to your darkest values. You develop the piece in general. And in oils, you don't have to do such an extreme value scale like what we have to do in acrylic at all. Go ahead and get a little white, a little bit on top. Just a little bit right here. I think we're pulling this together. Kind of coming to the end of my, I've added a little yellow to that blue area. Come over to my green. Kind of paint around my stems a bit. Kind of creating a little bit of lighting in there. Just down in these little bushes. But I do think I want it darker, closer to the pumpkin, so I might go back into my green and brown and black and make sure that it's a little darker right there. See how we do? All right, I think we're there, guys. Yeah. I think we painted our delicious pumpkin. Diana Peak loves the light in this painting, and Summer's like, the painting is amazing, and Diana's like, thank you for answering my question. So I'm here for that purpose. I want you guys always to know that it's never gonna matter what the subscriber number is on this channel, ever. The mission was the same at 1 subscriber as it's gonna be at 1 million if we ever get there, which is to help you paint. And I am always going to be excited to answer your questions. I'm going to be excited to answer questions about white forever.
Mm-hmm.
I actually am. It is my honor to get to do this. I think human beings are better versions of themselves when they're painting. And I don't know what's right for you. And how could I? Right? But you do. And through painting, you can help guide yourself to your best potential future. And you can make better things happening in your life. And any chance to be a part of that, I definitely jump at. So I am always thrilled to answer questions. Now I get about 75,000 a month, and we answer a lot. We answer many, many, many. I
Yeah, we
don't
do.
necessarily get all of them. I'm never ignoring anybody. It's just that maybe it's in a message box that the platform doesn't give to me. If you have a very urgent question, write support at theartsherpa.com, because I have a team that helps me with my website, and we have a much better job of getting to everything there. We're much better at that.
Yeah, for sure.
But everywhere I'm trying, I'll be on Facebook, I'll be on Twitter, I'll be on Instagram, TikTok, answering questions, resharing paintings, and looking to see what's going on in your guys' art journey. I'm going to take my number 1 monogram liner, and I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get into my blue-green mix over here. Maybe add a little white to it. And I'm going to give this just a signature. I can't wait to release the short of this. We are releasing short videos of this. This doesn't mean that I have stopped teaching full-time tutorials. There's just 1 minute little time lapses with some music that kind of give you an idea of what's involved in a painting. And if you see them, come up on your feet. If you can give them some love or encouragement to somebody who's like, oh, is this a real painting? And be like, yeah, it totally is. And they'll be releasing now through Halloween. So you'll see the shorts coming up. If you need to find the mini books, hopefully the mods have the link to the video. It's an unlisted video. And you guys can go watch that. It'll show you what the mini books look like. They come out a little bit after the videos when we do them live. The heart, if you guys saw the heart post back on my Facebook page, and the beautiful kind of abstracted heart, that is up in the premieres. So you've got to find that in the video feed. Make sure you hit the notify. That's coming up in 20 days. After this video, it's going to drop you to the next one, which is Saturday. It's a matching painting to this. It's the pumpkin farm.
Yep.
It's a little Lovecraftian, but it's also a little country. It's country Lovecraft. That's what it is. It's country Lovecraft. And I think it's beautiful, and that you guys will really enjoy painting it. It's very similar techniques to this. Now, you have a very important mission ahead of you. To be good to yourself. And be good to each other. And I want to see you at an easel really soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.